Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever we are on this beautiful, beautiful day. I happen to be in Hollywood, California, and I'm very excited at this time in our life to be doing this particular show because I've been feeling sort of in Groundhog Day for a bit. As you guys know, it's sort of what is our next thing? What are we up to? How can we step into our next thing and how can we activate it in a really powerful way? And so many of you guys out there I know are very successful and you've done amazing things and you're rocking it and all that. And yet this sort of feeling of what's it all about, Alfie? And also like what is new for me? What else can I do? Why am I really here actually? Is there some purpose that I really came here for that I haven't really activated yet fully? Yes, maybe a bit here, a bit there. But have I been in dress rehearsal all this time? Is it time to get on stage and do our thing? So I am so grateful and excited to be bringing a dear friend of mine and a very, very big rock star in many worlds upon worlds, an author and great friend and teacher and advisor and again rockin' human being. I think we should just bring her on without further ado. We shall chat more and more about Mynoo Maryel, but let us just bring her on from India. Woohoo! Yay! Hello, Mynoo. It is very late your time, so thank you so much for looking so beautiful at this late hour for you. And welcome, welcome. And I just want to say, without any further ado, congratulations on this book. We've been waiting for it with bated breath, and it is now here. Yay! Let us have applause for that, too. Fantastic. Congratulations. Birthing our next child here. So
It is very
yes.
special, right, to receive it. You were the first one to receive it from Amazon, by the way. I have my copy here, but
Oh,
you were the first one to receive it.
I love it so much with this beautiful labyrinth and this absolutely gorgeous. Is this it looks like what is this symbol in the middle, by the way?
It's like it's a leaf and a flower that's blossoming. That's what it is.
Because when I looked at it, I thought we've seen so many of these sort of the flower of life, the tree of life, and this and that. So I thought, yes, I must ask Marielle specifically. I'm a new Marielle. What specifically this flower, this golden flower, is in the center of the labyrinth. And the name of this book, guys, is The Flourishing Code singular, which I find quite interesting. So we're going to dive into that a little bit. And the tagline is living the life you love. And so, right to my point about yes, we've had good lives and we've had our challenges, we've had external challenges, and we've had our internal hurricanes and things. And now what, right, Marielle, Manu? What now? What are we up to? So guide us.
Yeah.
Tell us, what are we up to?
I mean the origin of this work, and Sunny, you've known me for a few years now. You sort of also have done other shows with me, so you got a sense of how my journey began, and really came from the corporate world, hardcore corporate world from the United Kingdom, born, brought up in India, but hardcore corporate world in the United Kingdom, and then embarked on a whole series of spiritual awakenings in Bali. And from that emerged the first book that you also brought to your ABC listeners, called The Bee Book. And it was during that time of my spiritual awakenings. That's right, The Bee Book, which is all about my journey into miracles. And it was my guide to self liberation. Sorry. And as I started experiencing self liberation, I experienced 2012, the year where I spent most of my time in silence. So it would be 4 days of silence, 5 days of silence, 7 days of silence, 15 days of silence. It was just like literally I would get an intuition and I would go into silence. And during that silence, I would receive these, what I called as downloads. and I would write them up.
Mm.
And then in that period of silence, I had an opportunity to really implement them
Mm.
and understand what they were about. And it is so I called the book my book of downloads.
Mm.
And then I started sharing it with people during the journeys I took them on, during the work that I do with them. Now, over from 2012 all the way until now, there are thousands of people that have actually worked with these different codes. And I realized there were actually codes that enable us to create a flourishing life for ourselves, our stakeholders, and the planet. And that's why the book is called The Flourishing Code. And I always follow guidance, as you know, and the book is called The Flourishing Code exclamation mark. Spirit was very particular about the exclamation mark, even though the book has 121 codes. And it's really because as you work with the Flourishing Code, you'll find the one which is for you.
Yes, and that
You want me
is
to get
what,
into it and you
yes.
just be the best version of yourself.
Well, and that's what I love about the concept of 121, and yet the title is The Flourishing Code, Living the Life You Love. Because when I went through it, when I received it, there were certain ones that I just sort of read through, and then there were ones I was like, stop, this is, this is for me. And I want to read this sort of first page because I think it's so important. The Flourishing Code, exclamation point. 121 codes for living the life you love. The key to the secrets that uplift your life, relationships, and work by transforming your vitality, wealth, romance, and prosperity. I love also the fact that you wrote the word and instead of or. It's like all of those.
Yes.
Let's have all
Yeah.
of those. So thank you for that. Well,
Yeah, I
yeah.
mean, the book really does have all of them. And the other thing, when I got these downloads, they came in very randomly. And when
Mm.
I started compiling it together in the book, I went through a journey of clustering them together, everything on prosperity and money together, and everything on love and romance together. And then when I gave it to my initial group of readers, the feedback I got was, actually, I don't know where this particular topic is going to be. It could be to do with prosperity, it could be to do with romance. So then I decided that actually I'm just going to make it alphabetical.
That's so
And
brilliant. Well, and so for example, I just randomly picked up this book. I've been holding it for a bit, but then I opened it to code 33. Lovely.
yeah,
I did not know it would be that. And it's the gates of manifestation are open. Walk consciously through the wide open gates of manifestation, where your desires effortlessly come to life. Be aware, expect miracles, and relish the gifts of your manifestations with a present and joyous heart. So, what I love about that for me is exactly to your point. This is manifestations of anything or everything.
true.
and
Yeah,
and I love that you also put in the word present, because again I think that's sort of the thing. Let us turn to the page of now. Let us be in the present. Let us let
yeah,
go of all the times. I mean, I know so many people in the New Thought world, when The Secret came out, I
yeah,
remember people were all in it and all about it and everything. And then there was this sort of malaise that came fairly soon after, because it was like, oh gosh, I'm not doing it right, or the words aren't right, or I'm not saying it enough times, or oh gosh, I'm saying the words, but I'm afraid. And it was like there was so much. I felt confusion and fear and sadness and
mhm,
anger and I'm not getting, you're doing it right. I'm not doing it right. And so I love, let's let all that go, guys, and let's manifest from
mhm.
here. So that's what I'm going to
Yeah,
do. I'm going to open
yes,
that door
yes,
today, Manu.
yes. And it's funny that you've got code 33. These are master numbers. So
Mm.
33 is it denotes that we are surrounded by ascended masters. Okay. And gates of manifestation is usually 11, you know. And today I've been driving in and we've had storms here. Um, and I just kept seeing cars with numbers 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11. So lo and behold, you get gates of manifestation are open.
I mean, I love this. And so the other thing that you talk a lot about, and I feel it throughout the book, is oh, I just love this, is the idea that miracles can be normal. Miracles are normal.
Mhm.
And I'm using a wrong word actually. Once I said normal, I thought I don't like the feeling of that word. Miracles are natural. They're
Mm,
natural.
yeah.
We must feel that they just are. They just like the miracle of being able to breathe right now. There are many people on this planet right now who cannot
Yeah.
breathe for whatever reason. Either the smog is too bad or they're on oxygen or whatever. I
Yeah.
am breathing. It like kind of chokes me up. Like that is a miracle. And it's natural for me. You know, it's natural
Yeah.
for me. It's also a miracle. It would be such a miracle for other people. So here toward the end, it said, you say, so manifestation is the norm. Combining it with expecting and accepting miracles and having that be the norm brings forth the reality of living an extraordinary life with ease, joy, and grace. So, yay and amen to that. And let's do it, people. Come on, people. Let's do it.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Gates of manifestation are open, and miracles, as you know, Sunny, you've heard me say this, that it's important to define your word. So a miracle is where something beautiful occurs that makes your heart sing.
Mm,
And your heart is beating. That is the song of the heart. So a miracle is here right now. And if
yes.
the gates of manifestation are open and you start counting your miracles, what multiplies? More and more things that are miraculous, that continue to make your heart sing, you know? And your
Yes.
heart is also the second brain. It also presents you in the moment where there is no past and there is no future. So vibrationally, you really clear out stuff which we often term as baggage that is coming from the past or coming from a fear that we've like projected into the future. You're able to be in the present. And that is really our gateway to miracles.
I feel like that is beautifully said, beautifully said. I feel like, again, many of us in the New Thought world want to do so much in the world, want to make a difference, want to make our mark, want to be present and be, shall I use the word important, have a purpose, do something that matters. And I feel also that many of us, perhaps even at a certain age, but maybe it's not even a chronological age, it's sort of like, oh, a bit of a feeling of futility, like, gosh, I've tried this, I've tried that. Are there miracles around me? Yes, I hear about miracles. Yes, I hear about manifestation. Yes, I see it with friends or people here and there. But what about me? What about me? So I love to sort of
Yeah.
talk about that a bit because I just would love for you to talk about that.
Hmm. Hmm. You know, one thing that I often say that if there is something that you see in someone else that somebody else is experiencing, you're only able to bring your attention to that because it is also occurring within you. We don't see in others what doesn't already exist within us. So whenever you have this thing, well, what about me? All you have to do is to really go into, well, clearly I'm noticing this in this other person and I'm liking it. The fact that I'm noticing it, you could say, Minu says, I have it in me. Where do I have it? When have I experienced it? When you start looking at that, your mind just stops debating with you. It actually, relaxes and allows you to go in and find where in your life you might have experienced what you are liking in someone else. Because you've
Beautiful.
only noticed it because it does exist in you. And now there's a vibrational match to that frequency. And when you bring a conscious attention to that and you find it within yourself, And really, the only question to ask after that is, okay, I've experienced this before and it feels good. How much better can it get? Give it over to
Beautiful.
the universe to answer that.
I love that. And I think also another sort of angle of what I'm feeling and kind of expressing here for the peeps out there, being the proxy for all you guys, is that we don't always know what we want. You know, we sort of want more or better, or I feel like that's sort of the a bit of the challenge, even with manifesting. And so I see here at the bottom of this page, I love this. It's time to place your orders with awareness and allow yourself to experience the presence and gifts of your manifestations in person. So that says to me, sort of, I know there's something more out there or in here or for me to do, but I'm not sure exactly what it is. I don't know what's mine to do necessarily. So I think that's
Mm.
sort of part of our internal work to tap into that and to know that we do have what it takes to do it. And perhaps it's something that we're seeing other people do or something, but perhaps it's
Mm.
something, gosh, you know, we've never really, we've always felt that that was for us to do, but maybe we feel, oh, we're too old or this or that. But, you know, no, no. So we can manifest it, right?
Yeah, totally, totally. That's why I call it the gates of manifestation are
Mm-hmm.
open. And and you said it, towards the end is where you've come to this part in that whole code. So by the time you get to it, you've processed it section by section. Each of these, if people only ever worked with one code, Sunny,
Mm.
it will transform every area of their life. So
Whew.
like literally every code is whole and complete in itself,
I like.
and it
Mm-hmm.
builds, it builds.
Mm.
And that's what I've chosen to do, is to have some self-reflection questions for people to get started on working with what the code says. And I've also taken the opportunity to illustrate it with the story of someone
Mm.
experiencing the implementation of this code. And that's the reason I did it. And it was actually also a comment from some of my early readers to say, it is a collection of amazing aha moments. And I feel like I'm basking in this amazing sunshine. But when the moment I think, so how do I start?
Right.
I'm like, I have to talk to Minu. But then there won't be a Minu in the book. So how can you actually replace that? So then I came up with, okay, what if I actually illustrated with a story?
I
And
love
so
it.
that's what I've done. I've changed the names, of course, but just for privacy reasons. But that's what has happened here. So you can literally go into one flourishing code and you can spend, a week with it.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
It's not a bad thing to have a week of experiencing gates of manifestation being open for you, because you
Well,
can say, okay, today I walk across these gates into prosperity.
well, I
Today I walk
think.
across these gates into my health, and see what emerges.
Well, I think you make such a beautiful point, and I'm just reading something under the self-reflective growth prompts, because again, I do feel perhaps it's even from the days of COVID, or perhaps it's this or that. Again, we're turning the page forward into the now. And there is a bit of a feeling, I just know from my listeners and friends and family and just people around me, there's a little feeling of stuckness. There's a little feeling still of futility. You know, those feelings are just kind of there and we want to, sweep them out, that sort of thing. And I think that also of overwhelm too. You know, there's a lot of that I
Mm,
hear and feel sometimes myself. And so I love the idea. I use the expression of spiritual breadcrumbs. There's also the
mm,
idea of taking a step, and in doing
mm,
a thing, a step,
mm,
an idea, a whisper comes to us. I can make that one call. Oh, yeah, I haven't spoken to that friend. They know
Yeah,
something about, publishing a book or writing a song or whatever. And
yeah.
so you have here in these prompts, what can you do today to reclaim your innate prosperity? So it's sort of that's a big one in a way.
Yeah.
And yet at the same time, it's like, okay, so for you to exactly acknowledge that we do have innate prosperity for one thing, for goodness God
Mm.
sakes, that we actually have
Yeah.
that. And then to
Yeah.
say, how can I reclaim that? What have I let go of? What have I not fluffed up in my life to play with my
Mm.
prosperity in a way that I've let settle too much? The pond, the yuck has gotten at the bottom of the
Mm.
pond. It's not fluffed up.
Yeah.
So, so right. So those again, spiritual breadcrumbs, or those just action steps, little steps, maybe.
Mm. You know, if- especially when you are taking this flourishing code, the code itself provides a context, right? So the context is gates of manifestation are open. And then I'm now choosing to focus on prosperity. So what you're doing now is you are in this context of gates of manifestation are open. You're putting your conscious awareness on prosperity, and then you're going into the self-reflective growth prompts, which is self-reflective growth prompts, which will grow prosperity and enable you to manifest that which you wish to order around prosperity. And that's what the code is guiding you to do,
Mm,
you know.
yeah.
Um, People often ask me, how do we work with this book? I usually write my books in a way that people like me would like to read them. So I'm not a start to end reader as such. I like to see a book where I can open any page and I get something of value, you know?
Mhm.
So I write my books like that you can open any page and there'll be something there of value. So with the flourishing code, when you open a page and something shows up that is of value, then that's the flourishing code that is guiding you today.
Mm. I
You
lo-
know, the other thing that I say to people in terms of how you can use it is you can just choose a number from 1 and 121. And whatever comes to you, open that. It's very readable. It's not very long text. It's quite short. They're quite short.
yeah.
And the self-reflective growth prompts allow you to, you know, contemplate. And if you require motivation, then there is a story that can motivate you. But just remember what's happening here is my intention is you live the life you love and you live it in a flourishing way. A
Mm.
flourishing that has got an innate characteristic where when you flourish, you see people around you also experience flourishing, right?
Beautiful.
And so you're living the life you love and you're flourishing. So others also get a little bit of a taste of that. And then within that container of flourishing are these codes, and each one provides that context. That's so one thing could be when you go from 1 to 121, choose a number, and that's the flourishing code that's going to guide you today because that's the number you chose. Work with it, play with it. That's what I would say.
Hmm.
Play and see what emerges for you.
I think that is one of my words of the year is play, fun, and that, because I feel like it's gotten so heavy, and yet there is so much joy and the ability to play, and when we're light with things, things can come, they can go. You watch a bird and how effective birds are. They fly from here to there, they chat together,
Yeah.
they come over, they get water, they do all these things, and yet there's such a feeling of joy and grace and ease and play and fun. And I think we do take ourselves seriously among us. Again, I know I do it sometimes. And it's like, okay, just let it go. Just kind of go, step in, step in. And again, the idea of the sort of spiritual breadcrumb, one step at a time. And
Yeah. Yeah.
And yet or not yet, I do love your idea of the week though, because I think that is
Mhm.
enough time that feels like a bite-sized, nice tapas, hors d'oeuvre. I mean, it doesn't feel too forever feeling,
Yeah.
and it also doesn't feel too, if we're commitment averse, we can do it for a week. We can always pick another coat next week, just don't worry.
Yeah.
And yet it gives a person enough time to sort of dive in a little bit. So another one of
Mhm.
the prompts that I quite like here in the manifesting 33 is, what are the predominant thoughts and desires that occupy your mind regularly? Like, get aware of that, guys. Like, what are we thinking?
Mhm.
How can you
Yeah.
align them more intentionally with what you truly want to manifest in your life? So,
Yeah.
we have those words where we say, oh, I do meditations, but it never works. Words like that. Cancel, cancel. I don't mean that because it does work for me. People
Yeah.
do say, we'll practice what we preach right here. Paying attention to the words we use, and then of course those are the thoughts, but the words are very much easier to check out because they float out of our
Mhm.
mouth and bounce off somebody standing there, and all of a sudden, or guys, I notice that when I listen to other people, and I hear them say things, I think, oh gosh, that's not really true about you. You use words, these superlatives, always, never, no, yes. My dear friend, blank, whoever, that's not really true of you. There's many
Yeah.
nuance to your
Yeah.
life, and
Yeah.
so I think really going into the nuance and allowing the nuance
Mm.
and allowing that, I think will allow us to kind of wriggle along a little easier. Don't you
Yeah,
think?
I mean that, and really what I find is, Sunny, I often say that it's heaven that lies in detail. Not the devil. Heaven lies in detail because through that you pick the nuance.
Hmm.
And then when it comes to implementation, it is so much easier because in engaging with the detail, you can pick that 0.01% that's actually going to make the 100% difference.
Mm. And when one does, it's sort of like working out or doing anything that we do step by step, maybe even changing a little bit with how we chat to our kids or coworkers or our
Yeah.
spouse. Just shifting those words a little bit, being a little kinder, gentler, and then noticing, oh gosh, I've been doing that sort of for a week, or I didn't even notice that I'm getting a kinder, gentler reaction. Like, oh, my little child is not as cranky at 4 o'clock as they normally are, or there's a little more
Yeah.
space and love and play and fun. And gosh, I didn't even notice that, but that's kind of my experience now. So I think that it can kind of catch up with or sneak up on us in a fun way. Do you find
Yeah.
that? Because I find that.
Yes, yes, totally, totally, totally. I mean, you've seen me spend that time with my grandkids and stuff, and um, you've really put your finger on it. It's perfect. I mean, the other thing I want to share, Sunny, which is quite exciting, one of the readers of the book, they've come back to me with a really great, like a LMS, learning management system, which I'm
Oh,
going to integrate in the website of this one
okay.
soon, where you can post your question. And,
Oh,
and our system, with a little help from some intelligent humans, comes back to them with the two flourishing codes that may be able to assist
oh,
in that question, which is really cool.
beautiful. Super
Really
cool.
cool.
I love that. Okay, guys, we're going to activate that with the website. And would that be the website that's floating be in your lower third right now, the flourishingcode.com?
Yes, that's correct. That's right. Theflourishingcode.com. You can
So
certainly buy the Flourishing Code through that website, and you can also buy it on Amazon directly.
our ever present Amazon. I'm looking right now at code 34 because it just happens to be the next page here, and lucky for me because it is glorious, grace, grandeur, and greatness. The glowing G words activated by our lovely good friend gratitude. Bask in the glory, grace, grandeur, and greatness as you immerse yourself in the vibrations of gratitude. Let your heart open and your light shine, flaunting your love. I love that. With humility and pride as you step into the next phase of your life. So, amen, my sister, to that. I feel like that, oh God, that just makes me cry. I feel like that, guys, don't you think, isn't that just what we want now? Like, we've been through so
Mhm.
much, we've been through, we've
Yeah.
learned so much, we've done so much, we've studied so much, we've, we've just been in so many places, traveled, done so many events, things, whatever we've done, had kids, done all these things. And now, isn't this where we want to play, guys? Code 34, check it out. I love this, Manu. I love this Code
Yeah.
34. Let us all
Well, that could be
play.
the flourishing code for you,
I'm
you know?
telling you, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm going to
And
read,
you see why the exclamation mark? Because when you
yes.
get it, it's like, oh my gosh,
I
you
mean,
know?
I'm telling you, I'm going to read this other little bit because my eyes just went here and I said, yeah, this is exactly how I feel right now, even reading this. My cells sparkled after being washed in the gush of the ganja. I felt the perfectly formed vibrations in the water flowing through my cells. And I thought, gosh, when I read this, I just feel that sparkly energy, that newness, that new possibility. I don't have to keep being in Groundhog's Day. I don't have to keep doing the
Yeah,
same stuff, even though I've done it and
absolutely.
it's kept me fairly safe and it's kept a roof over my head and this or that. And, it's kept me respected by people and I get enough love and whatever. But I want more, more, more. And so I visualized the happy snowflake crystals emanating from within me, filled with love, kindness, and compassion, in grace and gratitude, as I connected deep within and received the wisdom left for us all by her grand holiness, the goddess embodied in the river Ganga. Oh my goodness, I'm just going to start crying. It's so exactly what we want to be playing with, don't we, guys? We want to be,
Yeah,
we don't have to,
you must join me
yes.
someday in Rishikesh, where I do my immersions from time to time. Many of our mutual friends have done that.
Well, and we can do
It would
that
be
because we
beautiful.
all, hopefully, one way or another, have water around us where we can
Mhm.
imagine the water. Of course,
Yeah,
we many of us know about Dr. Masaru Emoto and the water studies
yeah.
and all of that. I mean, the absolute grace that water holds and can bring to us,
Mm.
and we can bless it. And there's so many cultures and religions and that use water, the holy water. This, it's in pretty much every ceremony, even in
Yeah.
places where it's desert. And for example, the Bushmen, where there isn't very much water, they have ways they use. I don't know if you know this, but they use music and rhythm, verses of song
Mhm.
to go sort of
Mm.
14 verses, and then they know
Mm.
when they go to that tree that underneath there, and if they dig there will be water. Like, it is just so cool. So to
Mm.
use water
Amazing.
as something that we all have, that we can visualize that those crystals and that snowflake and that love and gratitude and grace and grandeur and
Yeah.
glory in that. I mean, yummy. Yummy,
Very
Manu.
true. And sunny water, as you know, is one of the five elements.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, as an elemental energy, what it's about is washing away the debris and bringing flow.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I think
So,
about that a lot, even when it comes to health, because, for example, I got rear-ended a month ago, whatever, and not too badly and stuff, but immediately I was feeling a little bit of a seizing up, and I thought, okay, the main thing I want to do is work with lymph people, lymphatic system, make sure everything's flowing, because, the body can get a little fearful and kind of shut down a few little
yeah.
bridges and things here and there, little doors here and there. And I thought the most important thing for me is having
Yeah.
that flow, having that flow, having that flow, not having stagnation. So, yes, so we have that opportunity to even just visualize it, right? I mean, we can do that. We have that power.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. Shall we just have a go with maybe so that readers can look at different ways of using the book.
Yes.
So maybe is there a question that you hear a lot?
Well,
Let's
yes.
find a question, and then you can flick through the book and
Oh,
stop when you feel intuitively guided to stop,
okay.
and then let's read that code.
So the question that I get a lot is, what is mine to do now? What is
Okay.
my purpose? Why am I here? Ooh,
Okay.
ooh, this gets me.
Okay.
Ooh, guys, get ready. The magic is in your charm, like Glinda the Good Witch. When the Scarecrow gets so mad at Glinda, when Glinda says to Dorothy, this just makes me cry. You had it all the time. And the Scarecrow gets mad at
Mm,
her, and he's like indignant, and he's like, Dagnabbit, why didn't you tell her before? And she said she wouldn't have believed me. So here we are,
mm.
guys. Manu is telling us we had it all along. It does. It just makes me cry. The magic is in our charm. We already have the ruby slippers. So it does say, you do say, Manu does say, discover the magic with, oh my gosh, discover the magic within your charm that is uniquely you. I swear to God, you guys, I did not read this ahead of time. Own it. Step into your charming shoes. Like Dorothy. And let the splendor of your magic illuminate the world. I'm not even kidding. I not even read this book this far. Your charm is full of magic. Your unique blend of charm is encapsulated in these words hidden in the abbreviation MAGIC. Magnificence, authenticity, glow, inspiration, culminating. That's the magic in you. Know this, own it, step into your own charming, you say shoes, but I shall say magic slippers, ruby slippers, and share, spray, and spread the splendor of your MAGIC. Well, there it is, everyone. That is the answer to our game. That is the answer to our puzzle. I will also read, or well, I'll let you comment on that and then I might go further, but
Hmm.
is that just perfect?
I know it is perfect. I mean, I was getting goosebumps as you were reading it, because you're like an archetype of all those people asking this question, and you were reading it like literally holographically. It's reaching out to everyone that has this question. It was
Yes.
amazing.
Yes. And then you say, so that is, that's something, I mean, even when I think in The Wizard of Oz, and there's so much in that that's so magical on so many levels. Even when she meets the Scarecrow in the beginning, I mean, her first bit with him, and she's sort of saying, again, that back to this sort of, or forward to this, where do I go? What am I doing? Do I go left? Do I go right? Do I just sit down and wait for a bird to come or something to tell me what to do? What am I doing? Where am I going? I don't feel to go left. I don't feel to go right. I don't feel to go back. And and then the Scarecrow sort of says to her, well, you can go left. And then he just quite quickly says, and you can go right. It's sort of like all roads lead to Rome also. So it's like, just make a choice and go somewhere, girl, Dorothy. Just come on. And so I
Yeah.
think of that as, he's sort of the beginning of her journey, and then he ends up kind of, encapsulating it at the end. And then again, that all, we all are wearing our ruby slippers all the time.
Mm.
So these are the self reflective growth prompts. What unique qualities do you possess that contribute to your personal charm? So it's sort of like, guys, let's just start with what we already have. Like, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. Right,
Yeah.
Manu? Don't we? It's like, isn't it just
No.
great to figure out what we already have going for us?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Sunny, I'm engaged in a program that I call as FLOW, which is Flourishing Leaders of the World. And I
Mm.
deliver this program into college students. So I was doing a series yesterday to over 500 or so students from who are like 17, 18-year-olds. And I get them to write 10 things that so if they were living the life they love, share 10 things that would be going on and describe 10 qualities that are really special about you that you would honor in yourself. And I didn't know whether these 17-year-olds would even be able to go. I'm talking about 20 things they're going to write. And it was totally and completely magical. One, they were writing. And secondly, what I did was I got them to share it with their partners. And then I said to them, stand up. And each one of you read these and keep reading them until I ask you to stop. They literally manifested their pink slippers, glittery slippers. It was amazing, awesome, and amazing to see these youngsters rise, owning their magic
And by
and
the way,
honoring their charm.
yes, and by the way, I am so grateful to hear that you are working with this next generation, because how magical for them to have guidance and wisdom from you, an elder, one of the lovely
Mhm.
elders of our world, actually, right now, and for them to be open and to have that opportunity, and whoever set that up, how brilliant of them to allow
Yeah,
this amazing gift and this awesome gift for these 500 kids who will really have such a ripple effect in their own life. And I am absolutely sure that these experiences they're having right now will really go in
Mhm.
deep and will stay with them, and then they will be teaching it, or they will, I mean, certainly they'll be
Yeah,
embodying it, and then they'll be able to express it, and sort of just, again, the ripple effect going out. And again, I love that you write your personal charm, because you're just saying to anyone reading this, guess what? You already have some cool stuff. Like, just
yes, that's
again, when you're
right.
looking at the other people, like I was saying before, looking without, oh, this person has this or that, or they have, a big house or money or, fame or whatever it is. It's like, what is your unique gift? You know what? Get real. Come on. Go in. Find out what's happening in there and be real. Be audacious and humble at the same time somehow. Stir it together and create that little shovel, that silver shovel that you can dig in, dig in, dig in, and find that
Yes,
charm that you have, that you know you
yeah,
have, and you maybe are hiding it, or you don't really recognize it yet. But come on, recognize it and let us play with it. Let
yeah,
us enjoy it.
yeah. Yeah. And in the words magic, where I talk about magnificence, authenticity, you can literally, as you're examining yourself, sometimes when you're not feeling that good about yourself, you can go into magnificent. Who do I know that's magnificent? Or where might I have shown up like that? Even if it is at a wedding, it's fine. The fact that you were able to do it once, you can actually reenact it multiple times. Where have you showed up
Yes.
as authentic? And there are always times where we show up authentic, even if we might beat ourselves up for doing stuff that, is not kosher. You'll find there are places where you have been authentic. When you start uncovering those, it's like dots connect, Sunny,
Yes.
you know? And
Yeah.
suddenly you get present to a reality, which is your charm.
Yes, and I will tell you, I would like to share a magnificent story that I'm sure the person does not know. I have two nieces, and I was, excuse me, chatting with a family member, and I said, I have just witnessed such a magnificent act of love that I just don't even know. And what that is both they're sisters, and one is just had a baby, and she was pregnant, for 9 months, and the baby was maybe coming early, maybe coming late. We didn't know. We were waiting on pins and needles, and she was going to maybe come. The baby Asher was going to come early, sort of 2 weeks early. And so life goes on. We're waiting, and Asher is born, and then Asher's mom, Danielle, gets a call from her sister, Nancy, who then tells her that she's pregnant. And Nancy had held on to this for weeks because she didn't want, she wanted, it makes me cry, she wanted everything to be about her sister, to make sure that the baby came peacefully, she was healthy, the baby was healthy, because there was a bit of a challenge with the last one, so she just wanted to make sure. And then when she felt that it was time and enough went by and everything, then she called her sister and burst into tears and, and all that. And I found that, Manu, magnificent. So
Mm.
I say, guys, magnificence doesn't have to have a crown on the head of it,
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
have to have ruby slippers on the outside of it. It can be such a small act as that, which I find magnificent.
yeah,
I just do. So there you go. That's my magnificent story for the moment.
yeah.
Humble and
Beautiful.
beautiful and real. And yet are we, how generous and all. So I think the
Mhm.
story speaks for itself. So that is my
Beautiful.
point of like we can, it doesn't have to be huge, huge, huge. It can be
Mm.
just something like that. And so I think what it is also, don't you agree, is recognizing that in ourselves. Like it's not about, oh, how cool am I, or, whatever. But when there is
Mm.
that moment when we push past something, maybe again, if we have kids or grandkids or a spouse, where we're able to just go into some love that we didn't know we had, we can just quietly
Yeah.
say to ourselves, hey girl, that was pretty magnificent. Like we don't even have to tell anybody, it's okay, we just know. There's
Yeah.
that too, right? We can recognize our own magnificence just quietly to
Totally.
ourselves.
Yeah. And Sunny, the most important thing to remember, if you recognize it in someone else, it exists in you,
Mm,
you know? So
mm.
whilst it's beautiful to acknowledge someone else, the fact that you recognized it in someone else and it felt good, find it in you as
Aw.
well,
Mm.
and amplify that goodness.
Yes, and it's a great example for me too. It's another one of those lovely, lovely gifts. And I want to let you know, by the way, believe it or not, we are coming to our time. So we're going to wrap it up in a little bit. But I do want to, in this conversation, read this last bit in the self-reflective growth prompts. How can you use your charm to inspire and uplift those around you? So just to our point that we're talking about, that is what
Yeah.
that is. And so I absolutely love this book, Manu. I'm so proud of you for getting it out, birthing it, rebirthing it to all of us, and we shall be enjoying it, the Flourishing Code exclamation point. And so I would love for you to share just a minute with our lovely peeps out there. Just anything you want to say.
Well, I'm I'm delighted that the book has come out at this time. Um, for those of you who are going to be listening to this show ahead of the launch schedule, we have it planned from the 29th of July, for 5 days. It is going to be available for you on Amazon or through the website, theflourishingcode.com. You can actually buy the book, and a Kindle version is available to you completely free of charge for 5 days, starting the 29th of July. And that is our launch gift for all of you. So you buy it for yourself, buy it for your family, for your friends, for Christmas gifts or birthday gifts, and it is available completely free of charge. After those 5 days, then Amazon does not give us that opportunity to do it again. So it is only going to be there for these 5 days. So it would be wonderful for as many people in the world as possible to take advantage of it and use the flourishing codes. They're very simple, they're easy, they can be implemented at your own pace. And I would love to share and hear from you about your experience of working with the flourishing code. Thank you so much, Sunny, for
Oh,
bringing it
my
out into the
pleasure.
world in the way that you are doing it so elegantly,
Oh.
so articulately, and with so much fun and flair.
Oh, thank you. And guys, absolutely reach out. I highly, highly recommend this. I do want you also to know that one of the projects that I worked with Manu on was the World Dignity Forum, which was so important. And it is the Dignifying Life campaign focused on nurturing children, empowering women, and fostering leadership, sort of to the point that we were talking about earlier with the children or teenagers and then young people in the young in all of us. Manu activates the young in all of us, whatever our
Yes.
age is. And of course, the Bee book, I will love for you guys to check that out. And again, I want to just really honor you for your work that you do in the world, Manu. You do it so beautifully, eloquently and elegantly and generously. My goodness, my goodness. And all of us who know you, I know, echo my sentiments and my love for you. And we're very excited to be sharing the Flourishing Code exclamation point with everyone. And I want to just remind all of you guys, just you have your ruby slippers. So just know you have them. And do something for yourself today that your future self will thank you for. So until next time, this is Sunny Chase, Solutionary Sundays, Mynoo Maryel, the Flourishing Code exclamation point. And until next time, just have some fun. Bye for now.